Well, the bit extraordinary scenes in Berlin tonight as thousands of people gathered to hear Barack Obama deliver key foreign policy speech on his current European tour. Democratic presidential hopeful laid out his vision for America's place in the new world order, saying he was speaking as a proud citizen of the world, of the world, of the world.
It is a big idea. It is a big idea. A new world order. It is
Hello friends, I am the Anti-Terrorist. Thank you for all of your emails and messages of support, and for staying part of the conversation. I imagine being an employer and not having to worry about your employees ever going on strike. Imagine never having to pay unemployment insurance, or vacation time, or comp time. Imagine your employees are on full time, 24 hours a day, if you say so. They never show up late. They're never absent from work due to an ill child or a death in the family. Imagine that if they ever complain about earning 25 cents an hour, you can throw them into solitary confinement. This is not a fantasy. This is a fact. And if you've got enough money and enough clout in the halls of government power, you too can build your own prison and utilize all the money-making benefits of a cheap and relatively trouble-free workforce. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Of course it does. Until you're the one banged up for the most petty of violations. Let's play a little game. It's called Name This Nation. It has locked up more of its citizens than any other nation on the planet. It has locked up a higher percentage of its citizens than any other nation on the planet. It has locked up more citizens than any other nation in the written history of this planet. It has imprisoned its own citizens without any charges filed. It has imprisoned its own citizens without any access to legal counsel. It has imprisoned its own citizens without any access to family. It has imprisoned its own citizens without any habeas corpus. Almost all of its imprisoned citizens are in prisons run by corporations, not by the government. It's the only first world nation that still has a death penalty. Here's a hint. It refers to itself as the land of the free. The United States Corporation has locked up more people than any other nation on Earth. 500,000 more than China, which has a population 5 times greater than the US. Looking at it another way, the US has 25% of the world's prison population, but only 5% of the world's people. The prison industry complex is one of the fastest growing business sectors in the United States. Its investors are on Wall Street, and it has its own trade exhibitions, conventions, websites, and online catalogs. It also has direct advertising campaigns, architecture companies, construction companies, power supply companies, food supply companies, armed security, and padded cells in a nice selection of colors. Let's say you suddenly come into a great deal of money. Here you are, stepping in on the ground floor of what's clearly a growth industry. You've found the investors necessary for building your incarceration complex, and you've greased the palms of crooked politicians and judges to grant you the necessary permits. And now it's time to take a look at the so-called human resources selection process. You see, one of the things that has continued to stump the average Joe Sixpack is that murderers and rapists are eligible for parole and manage to hit the streets in just a fraction of the time served by non-violent offenders. It all begins to make perfect sense, though, when you approach the issue from the point of view of an employer. Which type of person would you rather have on your factory assembly line? The guy who ripped out someone's grandmother's eyeballs and then set her cat on fire? Or Gentle Jerry, the marijuana grower?
Hey, boss, you want to come in here and see if I've got any razor blades in my mattress? Nah, gee, when I get out there, I'm gonna rape me some fine bitches.
Hey, no, Joe, no. We got some good news. Your parole came through. You're out today.
Oh, hey, cool. That's what I call justice. Hey, Officer Jones, how you doing, man? How are your kids? Hey, you don't happen to have a light, do you?
Shut up, pussy.
What the Hey, don't tase me, bro! Ow, ow, ow.
The private contracting of prisoners for work fosters incentives to lock more and more people up. And stockholders who make money off those prisoners' work continually lobby for longer sentences in order to expand their workforce. So there you have it, friends. 97% of federal inmates in the United States have been convicted of non-violent crimes, and they stay in prison because once you have a cheap, reliable, relatively non-aggressive employee, you may as well hang on to him for the rest of his life.
Where are 1% of American adults?
Oh, I imagine we could find out, couldn't we? We could use Google Earth, because some of them are quite big. There's one. He's got his own postcode.
1% of the population, which is, what's the population? It's about
300 million, isn't it?
So you're talking about between 2.5 and 3 million, say?
Jail.
Yes. G for jail. English spelling of jail, of course, but it is G for jail.
Really, that many people? 3 million people are locked up?
Well, 2.3, which is 1 in every 99.1 adults.
All of those guys there are innocent as well, because they all were arrested for having switchblades, but they've all only got one arm.
Well spotted. Proportionally, the Americans imprison more than twice as many as South Africans, more than 3 times as many as the Iranians, more than 6 times as many as the Chinese. No society in history has imprisoned more of its citizens than the United States of America.
We're pretty well, though, don't we? We sort of top the European League.
We're ahead of China, Turkey, and India.
Yes.
Yeah, with 148 prisoners per 100,000.
It's the 3 strikes and they're out.
That's been the problem, yeah.
I mean, a legal system based on baseball just seems bizarre.
Yes.
People don't seem to understand the law. It's all very complicated. What's simple? What do people like? Baseball. Right then. Here's the rule.
3 strikes and you're out, yeah.
Mental.
What it means is if the first 2 strikes, the first 2 crimes you're convicted of are serious enough, the third one, no matter how trivial, will get a life sentence, 25 years or more. So, for example, Leandro Andrade is serving 2 consecutive 25-year terms for shoplifting 9 videotapes.
He took 9?
Yes. Kevin Webber, 26 years for stealing 4 chocolate chip cookies. It's astonishing.
It's really stupid, isn't it? Because if you know you're on this sort of deal...
Yes.
Yeah.
Take 5.
Yes.
That is
Do another murder. Do a bank job. There's no point.
There's no point doing anything trivial.
If
No,
you're
I know.
going to get caught.
It is a bit bonkers. But the racial numbers are a bit worrying. And the gender numbers, it's 1 in 30 men aged 20 to 34 is behind bars. But for black males, that's 1 in 9. 1 in 9. There are more 17-year-old black people in jail than in college. So 5% of the world are American, 25% of all prisoners
Isn't the real
are American.
controversy with this the business end of it?
Well, that's true. It's also, as you say, right, it is a business.
Because it's not just license plate, they make loads of stuff.
Well, one of the things I should have said when talking about contraband is that you're not allowed to bring into America anything that's been made by forced labor or prisoners. But in America, you could almost say, if you were so minded, that they've reinvented the slave trade. They produce, for example, 100% of all military helmets, ammunition belts, bulletproof vests, ID tags and other items uniform, 93% of domestically produced paints, 36% of home appliances, 21% of office furniture, which allows the United States to compete with factories in Mexico because, of course, obviously the workers can't refuse to work for 25 cents an hour.
I very much like to say something hilarious, but something must be done.
It is.
It feels a bit more question timey to say.
It is a bit amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's slavery by the back door.
Exactly what it is.
Plenty for you to work.
You get solitary confinement if you refuse to work. Yeah, more than 1 in 100 American adults are in jail.
One final point for all you taxpayers out there. Your money goes to support the state and federal prisons, now run as private businesses, and which turn a substantial profit. Let me say that again. These privately run prisons are already making money off your tax dollar. The fact they're making money twice by using American citizens as slave labor is merely the icing on the cake for them. They aren't all greedy, though. They do actually pass on a great deal of money to their corporate shareholders and to corrupt politicians and lawyers and judges on the take. So tell me, friends, does that seem like justice to you? Have we really come very far from the cotton fields? I didn't think so. Thanks for listening.
And people better understand that they mean exactly what they're saying. It's a new world order they're trying to create, and they're trying to do so not only without approval or consent of the government of this country, but despite the popular will. This is a straightforward assault by the elitists in this country.